Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hi, it's Shannon. So we decided to postpone the 411 about Harmony to next week, given that the amazing Lois has returned to Port Charles. We did a 411 about her when we thought she was coming back when Brook Lynn's throat was slashed. You know, that just would have made sense for her to come see her daughter, but she didn't. But we definitely wanted to make sure that those of you who have no idea who Lois is understand her backstory a little bit more, and you're able to enjoy the time that we have with her back in Port Charles, maybe a little bit better. So enjoy our recap.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411.
All about Lois Cerullo. I feel like you don't even have to say her last name. Everyone should just know Lois. It's just Lois.
So she hasn't been seen in 15 years.
Okay.
First of all, it's been 15 years since Lila died.
Okay, I just want to say I got addicted to this storyline all over again and could have watched this for days. But on top of that, I have never felt so darn old in my entire life. Right? My kids are like, why is it all grainy like this? And I'm like, well, this video is 25 years old, so... Oh my God! 25! That's insane!
But she hasn't... It feels like just yesterday she was back.
I know. When you said... Some people may not know her. In my brain, I was like, what do you mean people don't know her? How do you not know Lois? I guess that makes sense.
You have
that there's
two children that were born after Lois was last in Port Charles.
Which is insane.
That's crazy. Mine just squeaked by.
That's insane.
I can't believe it. So at the time of this recording, Lois has not been seen.
Oh, did you watch this week already?
I watched one episode. We're recording Tuesday. I watched last night to see if it was...
Okay, I also don't know what day of the week it is because tomorrow our kids start back to school.
Yeah.
And so I'm already like in my brain through that day and whatever.
Gotcha.
So, sorry.
My days are thrown off. However, I watched last night just to see if she showed up. So Monday she didn't show up. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
You're listening to this Thursday, so...
You probably know. And if not, oh well.
Yeah. And you might know by now. We don't know.
We don't know. I have not watched any of it, so I did not know if she showed up yet.
Yep. That's the whole reason I did.
Okay.
I stayed up late for it, too.
But
according to my Fitbit, I got the worst night's sleep.
Ned told Brook Lynn he talked to her mother and that she was
on
coming.
her way from Australia.
We should definitely get to see her.
She should be here soon.
It doesn't take that long to come from Australia.
I think it takes a couple days.
I feel like that was well, I guess not. I guess she just got her throat slashed last week. It feels like it's been a longer time.
So we're both kind of disappointed that GeneralHospitalFandom.com did not have...
Has nothing, and it threw stuff together, which we'll correct as we're reading it, because their timeline makes it seem like it happened instantly.
Lickety-split, yeah.
And it took a while for stuff to develop.
So we did lean a lot on YouTube, and both of us did not finish watching YouTube because there was 300 something videos.
So good. But then
so good.
You could watch all of that, but when you wanted to jump to new Lois, there was 3 videos.
Yeah. I didn't get that far. I really did good at just sticking, but I only made it to video 37.
Okay, so I think I made it a little bit past that, watching them consecutively pretty much. I mean, I was up and down doing other stuff, but for the most part watching it, and then I realized I needed to skip ahead some, or we were never going to get this done because I was going to have no idea.
I started to skip the ones that had nothing to do with her.
Yes.
Because so the name of the playlist, and we'll put it in the show notes, is Ned and Lois, which does make sense. She really was only on with him. Really,
Right, there were some Brenda scenes, but those were tossed in there too. So.
Right, exactly. So it makes sense that might be the only, although she deserves her own playlist.
She does.
But neither of us know how to do that. So
her mother deserves her own playlist.
Oh my gosh.
I love her mom. I forgot how much I loved her mom. So, yeah.
And she's one of the few, newer characters' parents that we actually get.
Exactly. Yeah.
So...
Except for it's not a newer character now that we're reminiscing that this was
at the time
20-some years ago.
At the time.
It's painful.
So what we're just going to do is read through what we were able to find and comment about things that we remember or what we were reminded of through YouTube. And like I said, we have not finished it, so there's probably so much more. But we really wanted to get this done for this week just because she's been talked about so much.
Right. You're going to have the gist of who she was.
Yes.
So
we're not going to do her justice. Let's just
you have
throw
to
that
watch.
right there.
You have to watch if you want to see it.
We won't.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous. She's stunning. She's sassy. She's Lois, you know?
Yes. No, you have to watch it in order to get it.
Yes.
So, okay, I will start.
Okay.
Lois Cerullo first appeared on General Hospital in 1993, which again makes me feel so old.
It was December, so at least 93 was almost done.
Okay, so I was almost 14.
Yes.
Yeah, that's still way too long ago, considering I have a child that age. So, no. As a band manager, when she saw Eddie Main perform at a New York concert, she was impressed with him and immediately hired the artist known as Eddie. Okay, so I don't like the way that's written. Here? Okay. Yes, because he was not performing.
Nope.
He was sitting at a bar talking crap on the people who were performing.
Yep.
And struck up a conversation with her. And then she says, well, actually, I'm the manager and you shouldn't talk crap on them when you can't do any better. And he says, watch me, pretty much. But he doesn't actually say he wants to go up there.
He's like, how do you know I can't do it?
Yes, exactly. So she goes up on stage and introduces him, and he's shocked and happens to then just go up on stage and give this killer performance, and it goes from there. But I didn't like the way it said it, like he was trying to already do a concert. That's not what happened.
And I want to point out two things that is not mentioned in anything that I have read. Lois is a freaking genius.
Oh my God. So smart.
So she graduated, she started college at 16, left at 18, and she was studying mathematics. The woman can do math in her head like no one's business. I feel like everything we've read, it doesn't. It makes her sound like Ned's wife. And yeah, that's a huge part of who she was, but she was her own. And she said that she does her nails as her hobby to keep her distracted from annoying other people. And I just thought that was so funny.
Yes. No.
I mean, she is smart.
She's super smart because I feel like the way that she dressed, and he made a comment about how young she was, that you think she was just this ditzy girl that wanted to be in love with the band, and that's why she was quote-unquote manager.
Do you think she was really supposed to be 21 then? Because she said, what if I told you I was 21? And he was like, oh, I'd like that better. I mean, if we think about it now, it actually kind of makes sense.
I don't think she was supposed to be that young, though, because she is jealous of Brenda later on, and Brenda is supposed to be a college student.
Freshman.
And not old enough to drink yet because she's drinking soda, so...
Well, I turned 18 my freshman year in college.
But I just mean, I think that they were close in age, but not that close in age. I always imagined her to be more like 24.
Oh. So like 6-7 years older than Brenda?
Yeah, because Eddie Main was Brenda's big brother, was the way they were presenting it. And I always thought that he would have been just a little bit older. Like,
see, I was picturing
I don't know how
mid-20s.
old Ned actually is, but in my mind, at that time, back then, because he seemed so much older than me at 13, 14, he was like 29, 30. So Lois, in my mind, was younger than him, but not like too young.
I figured he was like 25, 26.
Really?
Yeah.
That young?
I did. Because, hold on, let's find out how old he is. His first appearance was 1988.
Okay.
All right. Wally Kurth was born in 1958. So that makes him 62 minus. Oh my God. 19. Oh. Okay. He would have been 35.
Boom.
But that's his real age. We don't know if that's how old he was playing, as we've talked about many times with Nicholas.
True. No, I could be off. And again, that's why I preface it with, in my mind, because we don't all have to be on the same page.
I can't believe he was 35 then.
But in my, because again, I was 13, 14, so I was super young, and these were like the older people that were super cool. Brenda was like 19-ish, and so that made AJ, in my mind, was like 24-ish. And to me, that's why it made sense that AJ was flirting with Lois
Okay.
There's a scene later on that we'll talk about, I'm sure, where AJ was flirting with Lois, and it made sense to me that Ned would be a little bit like, hey, watch it, that's my girl, because they were closer in age. But there wasn't such an age difference between Lois and Ned that it made it ew.
Okay.
So, I don't know. If anyone knows, feel free to correct me, because again, this is in Amanda's mind. Could be a whole segment.
So let's say that he was 30. Let's just say that he was, because he does look young.
Right.
He's 62.
I know.
Good job, Wally Kurth.
Exactly. Wow.
I feel like.
I know. Okay, I don't like this. I'm feeling so old today because of all of this.
Okay, but long story short is they really didn't do her any justice on her brain.
Yes. And he even says there's a scene, because again, this kind of all smushes it together, but there's a scene where she's trying to figure out how much profit they would make on something. And so she runs through, if we buy this, and then we have this many hours, and then this, blah, 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 blah. And she spits out the answer. And he's like, you're pulling my leg. What are you talking about? Did you figure that out before? Where's your calculator?
Yeah.
And it was funny because, again, thinking of present time, I'm like, well, she could have had her cell phone. I'm like, oh, no, she didn't have her cell phone. That was all boom, boom, boom.
And he pulled out his calculator that was even bigger than, like, the TI-80 that we used to have. Is that still a thing? Like, do kids still use those? Like, the huge graphing calculators?
Yes.
Or was that a T90? I don't remember.
It's a whatever the big, but yeah.
But, I mean, it was a big calculator. And Ned's the only one with a mobile phone or cellular phone.
Yes.
Whichever one we feel like calling it at the time.
Right.
And it needs to be left at home, according to Edward.
Yes. Yes. So, the one that you had to pull the thing out and flip it down. Oh my gosh. So
smaller than the Zach Morris phone, but
true.
Not what we have now.
Oh my God. Yeah.
All right. So we've kind of gotten
so old. So yes, they met because she challenged him to go up and sing, and he did an awesome job. What she didn't know was that Eddie was actually Ned Quartermain. Lois believed that Eddie was a singer by night and a traveling pharmaceutical salesman by day. And Ned let her, never once correcting her beliefs.
However,
that was a little weird too.
He said it multiple times.
He said it.
Yeah.
Because, again, there's another part where Brenda meets her and she says something about him selling chemicals. And he's like, no, pharmaceuticals. And, like, elbows her. And she's like, oh, yeah, drugs. You sell drugs kind of thing.
Well, before even that happened, Lois called and Ned was having dinner with Brenda. And Brenda answered the phone. Yes. And she goes, what's a Lois?
She was so cute.
And Lois loses her mind. Why is she calling you Ned? Who's Ned? You know.
Right. Because Brenda slips up at this meeting and says Ned instead of Eddie. And it goes into this whole, well, the grandpa's name is Edward also, blah, 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 to cover it all up.
Right.
So, yeah, he didn't not correct her. He totally lied to her and then let it keep going.
Yeah.
Their relationship grew and soon they fell in love and got married. Yes and no. The relationship grew, but it took a while before they got to the married part.
I mean, it took... I didn't even make it that far. I really wanted to just get there, but, life happens.
Yeah. It took time because he was leading this double life. Mm-hmm. So they were talking what appeared to be every day and having a relationship that way. And they were so cute.
They were so sweet.
So sweet.
We have not... Oh, I guess Franco and Liz could be our closest. Our closest,
but I don't even know that they were as sweet as they were because they were really, really cute.
Right. But I think for what we have right now, Chase and Willow,
except for Chase and Willow were a lot more innocent.
Yes.
Lois and Ned were all over each other. In fact, I was watching it with my kids around, and there's a shower scene.
Yep.
And Madeline looks up and goes, what are they doing besides something inappropriate? And I was like, yes, Madeline.
Exactly. Super inappropriate.
No showers together. Inappropriate. So, yeah, they had a lot more steam to them than any of the couples.
But they really were so good together.
They were. You would believe it was a real life couple falling in love. It was so
absolutely
cute.
Yeah. It was almost like Frisco and Felicia.
I'm like, what? Did I miss a storyline? Yes. That's a good comparison. I like that. Yeah.
So they were after.
Right. But it captured
But we haven't really had
love.
Lucky and Liz.
Yeah, but they were teens. I feel like the teens don't.
They went through some stuff.
But puppy love that starts out as a teen is different than that can't keep your hands off someone lust/love that you have a little bit older.
Okay.
So I feel like they're two different categories.
Okay. We will rank these on a future episode.
Right? There's a whole episode of how we view them. It says Ned and Lois moved to Ned's hometown of Port Charles, New York. Again, eventually, but not.
Well, and
not
she
yet.
had come previously because she wanted to book Eddie Main and the Idle Rich at the Port Charles Hotel, which was managed by AJ and Eddie Main.
Yes, that's where she met.
Sorry. Ned Quartermain.
Right, but that's where she met AJ, and he was all flirty, and he booked the gig, and then Ned was like, oh, no, we cannot play there, because he, again, used the line of my pharmaceutical
I have big clients
people.
in that.
Yeah.
Although, I don't think he said my pharmaceutical. I think he said I have big clients in that town, which is actually not a lie. However, it was definitely...
Okay.
When he was speaking to her mom, he said, I'm a pharmaceutical sales rep.
He did, and that's what he told her at first. So, yeah.
Oh, and how much did they get paid for that gig?
$800. And they were so excited. And the guy that gave them the recording studio was taking his cut too. And it was still like,
7%.
Plenty of money.
So, I mean, and they're all like, a whopping $800. And they were excited.
Yeah. Between how many? There's like 5 or 6 people in that band.
But back then, that was a lot of money.
There you go. While there, Lois was reintroduced to her old friend from Bensonhurst, Sonny Corinthos. Again, that took a little while to get to also.
And I did watch that one, so read the next line.
Through Sonny, she quickly became close with... No, I can't read. Stop. Through Sonny, she quickly became close friends with Sonny's girlfriend, Brenda Barrett, and together the two opened their own recording company called L&B Records.
Okay. She was friends with Brenda before she knew about Sonny, because I did watch this one because Brenda was bringing her to dinner to meet her boyfriend, and she walked in and was like, Sonny! So, friends with Brenda first.
Right. And how that happened is that Lois complained that she didn't get to meet any of Eddie's friends' family, friends or family, but he had met her mom at this point because the mom showed up during the shower scene, and some of her other, work people that she knows. So he had taken Brenda to a gig so that she would have her mind at ease. Look, I'm introducing you to my people. This is Brenda, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And whatever. So...
And L&B did not happen the next day.
No! So L&B Records, also known as Lois Cerullo and Brenda Barrett Records, which I've never heard it referred to as.
No.
L&B Records.
It's what the L&B stood for.
Right.
But it's... I've never... Yeah, same.
And then
it's not like KFC and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Right.
I've never heard it called Lois Cerullo and Brenda Barrett Records.
Right.
Okay.
More time passed, and Lois was still in the dark about Ned's true identity. Meanwhile, Catherine Bell was blackmailing Ned's family, the Quartermains, and as part of her blackmail, she was forcing Ned to marry her. Yes and no, because that was kind of the whole problem as he was talking to Lois, was he would come back home and hang out with Catherine, and they weren't dating yet, but he was being very friendly with her because of all of the Quartermain dealings and trying to get her on his side. This is when Damian Smith was around, and somebody else. Oh, Tracy was being all shady, which isn't shocking and surprising.
Oh, but... and before, did you watch the board meeting with Lila telling Edward to knock it off?
Oh, about how they have to vote the same shares? Yes, I did.
Seriously?
So cute. I love Lila. I miss her.
Lila and Edward were the best.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. It was.
They really were.
It was.
Watch it.
It was really cute.
She's like, now, Edward.
Yes.
I just love her.
I love her voice impersonation of her. We're going to do a whole show where Shannon has to talk like Lila the entire time.
Okay. I'll work on it.
There you go. You can get it perfected.
I'll get JD to be Edward.
Oh my gosh.
Totally figure this out.
You don't even need me. I'll just sit here and laugh at you guys. So anyway, Ned was being friendly with Catherine because of all of the dealings. So yes, she blackmailed him, but it wasn't like it came out of left field and we didn't see this all coming up.
Right. And it wasn't without cause. I mean, sure, you shouldn't be blackmailing someone to marriage.
Please don't blackmail people to marry you. It was for the better of the business. Yeah. Which they've done how many marriages?
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. I'm like, it's not like it's not been done before. Hi, Chloe.
Right. There you go.
You know?
There you go.
Okay.
Nevertheless, Ned still refused to tell Lois the truth because he didn't want to hurt her and didn't want her to know that he had been lying to her all this time. Yeah, exactly. Lying. Because it wasn't a miscommunication.
No.
He lied. Lois eventually found out about his true identity from the television. While watching TV, she discovered that Eddie Main was actually Ned Quartermain and that he was married to Catherine as well. Furious, Lois decided to confront him and did so at Catherine's birthday party. During the party, she popped out of Catherine's cake and said, "Happy birthday to Mrs. Ned Ashton," from the other Mrs. Ned Ashton. Then she left Ned, effectively ending their relationship. Did you watch that?
I have seen it recently, and it's still such a good scene.
It is so good. And not only did she disclose that they were married to the same man, but she also went on to say that Ned was Eddie Main.
Yep.
So, boom. Lois is heartbroken, but Ned...
Sorry, right? You think?
I would just be like, whatever, I understand. No.
If this happened in real life, she would totally have her own Dateline series.
She would.
Like, she would have her own 2020 episode.
Oh, I did like that. So at that event, then Catherine threatened to sue Ned for having 2 wives. And I had felt to me like Sean Donnelly was around when I was younger. I remember him being like the main character when my mom really watched it, not me. But he was there discussing with his wife, Tiffany, like, he could arrest him, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no, wait until charges are brought. Be quiet. Like, stay out of it. It was so cute. I love them. I miss them. Let's bring all of the old people back.
Seriously.
So Lois was heartbroken, but Ned wasn't ready to give up on their relationship and pursued her hard to win back her heart. Eventually, she gave him a chance and they reconciled. Ned later asked Lois to marry him, and she accepted his proposal on the condition that there would be no more lies in their relationship. He agreed to this condition, and Ned and Lois were married again. While wed, Ned and Lois went through some pretty tough times. Their conflict began when Ned revealed to Police Commissioner Max Scorpio that Lois's friend Sonny was a mobster, after Lois had told him this in confidence. Okay.
So we have
I feel
Ned
like...
to blame for all this.
Yeah. And that paragraph, like, again, put a whole bunch of stuff together. Mac was already on to Sonny. Sonny had already had the strip club, and the strip club was then turned into Luke's by then.
And Damian Smith's son, Damian Smith is Frank Smith's son.
Right.
So he knows.
Yeah.
And he's friends with Ned.
Right.
So...
yeah. It wasn't Ned tipping anyone.
Why didn't Damian tell him before Lois did?
Right. No. But on their wedding, again, totally made me feel old. At the same time period is whenever Emily came into the picture.
Yep.
And so I watched the rehearsal dinner, and Lois asked Emily to be one of the bridesmaids, and she was so excited. And it was so cute. And
because that was her first wedding, right? And she's like, I don't know what to do.
Yes. And she played that part perfectly. Like,
she was a sweet little girl.
Yeah. So cute. So cute. And it was nice to see Lois was such a family person.
Yes.
Even though she saw that the Quartermains were such a disaster, she still was willing to work with it and be a part of it.
Her and Edward, he was wrapped around her little finger.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think she used it. She totally flirted with him.
Oh,
you know?
Well, yeah.
But she loved him in she didn't manipulate him.
Right.
You know, she was just like, oh, Mr. Q.
Right. It was just that crazy old man kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Mentality. Yeah. So Lois was hurt that Ned betrayed her trust, but they were able to overcome this hurdle, and the real threat to their relationship came in the form of Ned's family, which is not shocking because we all know the Quartermains. Lois wanted Ned to distance himself from the dysfunction of the Quartermains, and Ned's mother, Tracy Quartermain, had hated Lois from the moment they met. After Tracy put the family's company, ELQ Enterprises, in financial jeopardy, she skipped town, and Ned was left to clean up the mess. Lois asked Ned to choose between his job and her and their unborn daughter, and Ned chose ELQ. Deeply hurt, Lois left Ned and returned to her hometown of Bensonhurst, where she later gave birth to their baby girl, whom she named Brook Lynn Quartermain after her hometown New York City borough.
I think that hyperlink has been changed since Brook Lynn changed her name, because it was Brook Lynn Ashton.
Yes.
So
now it's Brook Lynn Quartermain.
It's Brook Lynn Quartermain.
Right.
Because I sat there, I was like, wait, why would she? And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Because it's the hyperlink that goes to the article about Brook Lynn. It would have 6 months ago read Brook Lynn Ashton.
Exactly. So again, they skipped over a lot of stuff talking about Edward and her. And there was a scene with Emily that I really loved, which is why it sticks out in my mind. He didn't want Eddie Main performing because that was taking Ned away from the family. So he bought L&B Records, and Miguel was one of their stars, which is Ricky Martin. Oh my God.
I think we talked about this. This would have been right before.
Yes. Yeah.
Living La Vida Loca.
Exactly.
Oh, those hips.
So, no, they'll show his concert. Lois goes to get the contract back and goes to one of his concerts, and he's singing, and oh my, those were some good days. So anyway, yeah, go back and watch those concert clips because yum. But Lois was upset with him because he bought out Brenda's shares by lying about something, and then he ended up buying L&B Records so that even though Eddie Main still had a year on his contract, he wouldn't get to perform because Edward had bought it all. So Emily goes off on him and says, Lois is the nicest person in the world. The only two things that she cares about is Eddie Main and L&B Records, and you just took both of those from her. And like the whole family is like, you tell him, little girl, go ahead. And
how old was she? Like 14,
right?
At the time?
And she says something about old people are supposed to be so wise, but you're not wise. You're just a bully and just tell people what to do. And the only person that's on your side is Lila. And Lila chimes in and is like, not today, honey. And it just kind of goes on. And it's so cute to see her standing up for Lois. And then Lois comes in and is like, we heard you all the way from the walkway. Thanks for defending me. We got this. Like, it'll be okay.
Right.
So they should have hit on like all of those cute scenes before they talk about then she ends up pregnant. And she struggled telling him that she was pregnant. She told Brenda first.
Yeah.
So.
I do remember that. So you definitely made it way further than I did on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember that from watching it, that she didn't want to tell him.
Yeah. So they were at Kelly's and she told Brenda first. Oh, and all of the scenes, her jumping out of the cake and all that stuff was at the Outback, which I like.
Yep.
Where's the Outback? That looked like such a good place to hang out.
I know.
I want to go back there.
So then Lois began to feel guilty for keeping Ned away from Brook Lynn, and she returned to Port Charles to allow Ned to have a relationship with his daughter. When she returned, she learned that Ned had had an affair with his uncle's wife, which is also called a what? An aunt? Monica Quartermain. She also overheard...
That's another reason that they had to be older.
Yeah. That doesn't mean you have to be.
Well, again, in my mind... He had to...
That doesn't mean you have to be.
Yes, because he had to be older than her kids a little bit. Come on.
Have to or should?
I'm going to have a little more respect for Monica right now and say that he was. And someone can correct me if I was wrong, but he was.
I'm sticking with that he is older than AJ and Jason. However, doesn't have
That was funny,
to
too,
be.
seeing Jason as Jason Quartermain.
Right, yeah.
So crazy.
Shoulder pads and all.
Yeah. So crazy. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. She also overheard Ned blackmailing his cousin, Justice Ward, and Ned filing for sole custody of Brook Lynn. And not being able to handle all the drama and dysfunction, she left the town again with Brook Lynn. She later returned briefly to comfort her best friend Brenda after Sonny had left her at the altar during their wedding. Lois didn't return to Port Charles again until 2004. And that's when we had the recast as Leslie Kay. And we forgot to mention that Raina Sofer originated the role, which if you've listened to any of our other shows, you know. But
I feel like the whole world feels that that's Lois.
That's Lois.
Because if you go back and try to find clips from 2000, what did you say it was, 4?
Yeah.
There's like 3 clips, like I said. So
the only one
in love.
So the only one that I found, and I hope that I'm not, I'll talk about it in the next.
Okay.
Because he's mentioned in this.
All right.
So Lois came back to Port Charles. Oh, wait. Lois didn't return to Port Charles again until 2004 when her now teenage daughter, Brook Lynn, had run away. Lois came to Port Charles looking for Brook Lynn, and after she and Ned were able to find their daughter in the city, Lois decided to stay in Port Charles. Soon after Lois's return, Ned's grandmother, Lila Quartermain, died. And the day that we find out Lila passed away, Lois came to the hospital with a mail package, and Dylan was there, and she's like, I got this. I signed for it. It's for you. She's like, why do you need erectile dysfunction drugs? And he's like, oh, they're for my uncle. Like, they're for Alan. You know, he just asked me to have them shipped in my name, whatever. So she pages Alan.
She definitely still had the same spunk.
Yeah. But she's like, Dr. Quartermain, you have a package. She's like, your mail's arrived. And he comes out, and he got that Dylan was like, just say yes, it's yours, you know. And then Monica walks up and is like, Alan, we need to talk, and broke it. That Lila was gone.
Yes. And she did try to do it more sensitively than just in the middle of the hallway. She said, let's go to the chapel, let's whatever. And he was like, no, just
we're all family. Just
say it.
Yeah.
So
she's like, we need to be more private. And he's like, we're all family here. Just say it. And it's,
yeah, that was the worst news ever.
So Lois did attend the funeral and comforted Ned over the loss, but they did not get back together, and Lois began dating mobster Lorenzo Alcazar.
Yuck.
I feel like original would not have.
Nope.
Brook Lynn was upset at her mother's decision to date Lorenzo, but nevertheless decided to start a girl band at her mother's request. Brook Lynn, Sage Alcazar, who is Lorenzo's niece, Georgie Jones, and Maxie Jones were all going to fake an audition for the band, but when Maxie was nowhere to be found, Ned's brother, Dylan Quartermain, was forced to dress in drag and pose as a woman. The situation got even more out of control when Simon, the record producer, started hitting on Dylan, thinking that he was a woman. And this was Scott Clifton, Dylan. However, their plan to start a band failed when Sage was murdered by Mary Bishop. I mean, that happens.
Yep. So inconvenient.
Plans for a girl band were dropped completely. Lois continued to date Lorenzo, but the relationship started to fail when Lorenzo's feelings for his ex-wife, again, Carly Corinthos, another odd match, started to return. Lois ended her relationship with Lorenzo and started to reconcile with Ned. Ned and Lois realized that the relationship between them would no longer work, but they agreed to stay friends. Ned, Lois, and Brook Lynn then all left Port Charles together and moved to Manhattan to continue working in the music industry. And this is when Ned actually left for quite a while. Lois was mentioned so that was actually the last time that we saw her.
Right.
And then Lois was mentioned in 2008 when Sonny called her mother Gloria and asked how to get a hold of Olivia Falconeri, another friend of theirs they had grown up with in Bensonhurst. When in town, Olivia later mentioned Ned, Lois, and Brook Lynn and told Sonny that the three of them were in Los Angeles, California, enjoying a very successful music career. She also told Sonny that she and their son, Dante Falconeri, always visit Gloria, Lois's mother, whenever they are in Bensonhurst. When Ned and Lois's daughter, Brook Lynn, returns to Port Charles in 2010, she mentioned that Lois now lives in London, England, and manages several bands all over Europe. And then with Brook Lynn recently coming back, I mean, they still didn't talk about her when she came back, but now she's being talked about.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever said, I talked to your mother, and when we had said before, it would make sense if he said, I talked to your mother. So I hope this means she's coming back for sure.
I do too. He said she's on her way. Right. Can't lie to us.
I mean, he can, because he's Eddie Main and Ned at the same time.
Yeah, that's right.
He could be fooling all of us, but hopefully he's matured in the past 20-some years. Yikes.
I think he has. I think watching all those old clips, though, and especially watching Edward, really hit home when he said he's been pulling Edward moves. Because he really has.
He did, yeah. Yeah.
So that's it. That's all we have about Lois.
I hope Lois is going to come back and remind him of who he used to be, though.
Yeah.
And bring that spark. And then Olivia can go be with Robert or whatever.
I don't know. I like Olivia and Ned together.
I don't know how you're going to deny that spark between him and Lois,
no.
though.
No, you can't, as long as it's Rena Sofer.
I'm going to agree with you, but it's not because I don't like the other Lois. I really feel like she held her own with that character. That is a hard
I think she did
character.
The best she could.
I think we were just in love with the original because we were in love with the original.
Yeah.
I bet if you don't know the original, you're fine with the remake.
I can see that. Absolutely.
Because she definitely did a good job.
Yes.
So, I don't know. But yeah, if you have time, go back and watch all of it because the description does not give it justice. That's why we tried to fill it in a little bit here and there. But really,
300-something videos.
Just dedicate the next weekend of your life watching all
Labor Day
of the
is
videos.
coming up.
Yeah, look, you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You can.
We want no excuses. We should have done this next week.
We should have.
Darn it.
But
you're getting it this week.
We wanted to get in before she showed up, hopefully.
Please. Please, please, please.
I feel like it was a good teaser. Go check it out. You want to...
I do too.
See it all.
Yeah.
So that's
and there's definitely stuff that we missed. Oh, but we did go to Instagram. But just because we didn't have time to go through everything, we did go to Instagram and asked, what's your favorite memory of Lois Cerullo? And someone said the fact that she calls Ned Nedley. Mm-hmm. She calls him Eddie. She calls him Nedley?
She calls him Nedley.
Okay. How have I never picked up on that?
When she talked to Brenda a lot, she would refer to him as Nedley, and then, like, he would walk in the room and she would be like, Nedley, get me my... Oh, there's where she's going to re-sign or re-buy back the contract for Miguel. She calls her mom real quick and is at the airport and telling her that she's going there, blah, blah, blah. And her mom says, if Ned wants to come with you, let him. And she says, I don't know. I need to handle this on my own, blah, blah, blah. And so this was back whenever you could go wherever in the airports. So Ned walks into where she's waiting and she says, there's my Nedley now. Okay, Mom, I have to go, and hangs up.
So that's all stuff that I did not get to. So that would explain why. So that was Mick 1722 that reminded me that I did not know. Did not
Nedley.
Remember.
Okay.
I always just remember Eddie.
Eddie was before she knew
his name was Ned.
Yeah. And so then it went to Nedley. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Then Tanya Hollyman, her spunkiness, her fire. She didn't take any poo emoji from the Quartermains, especially Edward. Can't wait to see Rita Sofer back home, hopefully.
I agree. That would be awesome.
I love it. And then never forget when she jumped out of the cake at Catherine's birthday party.
Those outfits that she used to wear, too. Like, when we first met her, she was in the mini skirts and the shirts cut down to here and whatever. Once she became Mrs. Ned Ashton, then they tried to make her more business-like. She still looked hot in anything that she wore, but I missed that extra cheetah print crazy outfit. Yeah. Spunk.
Someone just talked about the fact that she picked Brenda as godmother for... She's godmother for Brook Lynn, and godfather is Sonny.
Yes.
So
that means they should bring Brenda back to check on her, too, since Sonny's there.
Heck yeah.
That would work out perfect.
She just had her life threatened. She should totally get a visit from Lois and Brenda.
Perfect.
Decided.
There you go.
So hopefully on Monday's recap, we'll be talking about Lois. And if not, hopefully the next Monday we will. But join us on Monday as we talk about this week's episodes.
And have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.